Digestion is when a group of organs work together. It's a system where the group of organs they work together and take the nutrients from food to keep our bodies full of energy and healthy. There are many organs that work together to do each step. Six major functions take place in the digestive system: ingestion, secretion, mixing and movement, digestion, absorption, excretion. Later on in the video, we will be talking about different types of animals on how they digest their food. The difference between animals and plants is normally plants don't have a digestive system because they have photosynthesis unless it is a meat eater. For example, the Venus flytrap. Usually it uses photosynthesis, which absorbs the sun and turns into nutrients directly, and the roots take care of the water. So the difference between plants and animals is that animals use a digestive system because they don't create their own food. They take it from other stuff. But plants create their own food usually. And what are enzymes? Enzymes are a chemical substance that speeds up a process in our body. There are many types of enzymes. There are tons of enzymes, each having a different purpose, but there are three main categories of enzymes: digestive enzymes, metabolism enzymes, and food enzymes. So digestive enzymes break down the food in the stomach and sends the nutrients to different parts of the body. It is excreted by the pancreas and small intestines. So it basically main thing is that it basically just breaks down food in the stomach, which is very important to getting all the nutrients. So what are metabolism enzymes? Metabolism enzymes are produced internally and are responsible for running the body. At the level of the blood, tissues, and organs, they are required for growth of new cells and the repair of and maintenance of the body, organs, and tissues. So it's the healing factor. Metabolic enzymes take protein, fat, and carbohydrates and transform them into the proper balance of working cells and tissues. Metabolic enzymes also remove worn-out material from the cells and keep them clean and healthy. So basically, they take care of the cells and repair them for any need. So it's very important for these enzymes because without them, then we wouldn't be like fit and healthy, because it takes care of our body. Okay, so food enzymes are the only enzymes that are produced externally. Food enzymes are only found in raw foods, which, for example, an apple or like any type of raw food that's like not cooked. Food enzymes are enzymes that help digestive enzymes when digested, like from the food. So basically, it's supposed to aid in helping the enzymes that digest food. It is also an enzyme that breaks down nutrients and vitamins, which is important. So it basically helps breaks down stuff that the digestive enzymes can't do alone. So it's just like an aid, which is very important because we need our vitamins and nutrients. Food enzymes are only effective when raw and not cooked. So cooked food will not be effective to help digest. So it's always good to try and eat some raw foods every day. So like an apple or like any type of fruit, because it's raw. Okay, so our first animal that we're gonna talk about the digestive system is the worm. We will talk about the other animals later. So, the mouth, which is the first section of the earthworm, is the anterior end or the head. It consists of the mouth and the prostomium, a lobe which serves as the covering for the mouth, and as a wedge to force open cracks in the soil into which earthworms may crawl. So it's like the beginning in the picture shown. The pharynx, which food particles pass from the worm's mouth to its pharynx, where the food is lubricated by mucus secretions. The food is very slimy now, which makes it easier to pass along to the esophagus. Then, the esophagus, this is where the slimy food is mixed with calcium carbonate. Calcium carbonate is the same kind of chemical found in medication, such as Tums, which is used for heartburn. Calcium carbonate is a base, which is a type of chemical that neutralizes acid. Decaying food forms a worm's favorite food, forms acids, but the calcium carbonate neutralizes this acid, so you're able to eat it. Crop food. For the crop, which is a part of the worm in the beginning, food passes from the esophagus to the crop, which is a temporary food storage area. In the crop, the food gets mixed together. This mixture then moves into the gizzard. The gizzard is the earthworms do not have teeth to grind their food, but the muscles of their gizzard churns and mixes the food. Since earthworms eat dirt, the sand grains grind against the food, tearing it into smaller and smaller parts. Glands in the walls of the gizzard adds enzymes, which are chemicals that aid in the breakdown of food, which I already mentioned before. When the food has been churned and mixed so that it looks like thick paste, it is moved in the enzymes into the intestines. The intestines, which the thick paste of food continues to be digested in the intestines, where there are friendly bacteria that eat the food mixture. As the bacteria digest the food, the bacteria use what it needs, and the rest of the waste is for the bacteria. This waste contains the nutrients that the earthworm's body needs. A very important job of these friendly bacteria is that they prepare the nutrients in a form that can be absorbed into the small blood vessels lining the intestines. The blood carries the nutrients to all parts of the earthworm's body. The anus, the worm's intestine, basically runs the length of the worm's body. At the worm's rear and the intestine. The end of the intestine is called the anus, is open, and it is here where waste is excreted from the body. The waste pellets are called casts, which are mainly ground up soil. Dirt or porous soil may be eaten by the earthworm, but as it passes through the worm's body, it has become enriched with nutrients as well as acid neutralized. Dirt is changed to rich soil. Worms and their digestion help fertilize soil and grow our food. So basically, this is the worms digestive system, and it's not really complicated compared to like a human's digestive system or other animals, but we're gonna go into other animals after this. Okay, so the next animal that we're doing is the chicken. The chicken is more complex than the worm, but it's not as complex as the human, as you'll see later. It has more organs in the digestive system rather than the worm. For example, like the liver. But here's the process of digestion of the chicken. So it starts off with the beak that moistens the food with saliva, but the food is not chewed because it has no teeth like us. So the first step, as you could tell, is ingestion and secretion. So then the next step is the esophagus takes the food down to the crop to be stored. After a chicken has eaten, the crop will feel full and bulge. So once like it'll know how much food has been taken in because the crop just holds up all the food until it's full. So that's the way that the chicken knows it's full. Food from the crop slowly passes down to the proventriloquus. The proventriloquus mixes the food with acids and digestive enzymes. Food is then passed through the gizzard where the grit has accumulated. Food is ground down by the strong muscular action in the gizzard, just like the worm. From the gizzard, food is passed through the small intestine and is reduced further with enzymes from the pancreas, which is different from the worm because the worm doesn't have the pancreas and the liver. Bile produced by the liver is stored in the gallbladder to help break down the fat, just like a human has. The intestines digest the food, taking nutrients from it. Water in the remaining digested food is absorbed in the large intestine. The gastrica are a pair of tubes that allow fermentation of undigested food to take place. This is emptied every 24 hours or so and is a light brown color. This could be often confused as diarrhea by some people, so that's like, it's cool. Like, and the vent passes a combination of feces and urine together with eggs from the ovida. So that's like the eggs also come out through the same place. So compared to the worm, it's more complex, but not as complex as the human, which we'll talk about later. But it also has, if you notice, it also has some of the features that a worm has. For example, the gizzard, the crop. So, yeah, that's basically the digestive system of a chicken in like steps. Okay, so the last one is the human. So sorry if this takes so long, but so the start of the process is it starts off with the mouth. Makes sense, but it starts off with the mouth. The food is partially broken down by the process of chewing and by the salivary glands. And the salivary glands, they just like, each of the glands have different stuff to break down, and then it's sent on the way to the stomach. There's the esophagus. After being chewed and swallowed, the food enters the esophagus. The esophagus is a long tube that runs from the mouth to the stomach. It uses a rhythmic wave-like muscle movement to force food from the throat into the stomach. It's called peristalsis. I don't know if I said it right, but this muscle movement gives us the ability to eat or drink even when we're upside down. Now it travels down to the stomach. The stomach is a large sac-like organ that churns the food and bathes it in very strong acid, gastric acid. Food in the stomach that is partially digested and mixed with the stomach acid is called chyme. In the small intestine, after being in the stomach, food enters the duodenum. This is the first part of the small intestine. It enters, and then the ileum, the final part of the small intestine, the bile is produced. Bile is entered. Bile is from the liver and is stored in the gallbladder. Pancreatic enzymes and other digestive enzymes produced by the inner wall of the small intestines help break down the food. In the large intestine, it goes to the large intestine. After being passed through the small intestine, food passes into the large intestine. In the large intestine, some of the water and electrolytes, like sodium for example, are removed from the food. Many microbes, bacteria, in the large intestine help in the digestion process. The first part of the large intestine is called the cecum. The appendix is connected to that. Food then travels upward into the ascending colon. The food travels across the abdomen in the transverse colon, goes back down the other side of the body in the descending colon, and then through the other sigmoid colon. The last part is that the solid, after through all of this process of the colons and the intestines, is then the solid waste is then stored in the rectum until it is excreted. So, starting from the worm into the bird into the human's the most complex digestive system. But as you could all tell, animal digestive systems, they're basically, since we can't produce our own, we just take it from other foods around us, and the digestive system just takes the nutrients from it and excretes the waste. So it gets more complex on the different types of animals that there are. So we just talked about the worm, bird, and human. There are many more different types of the digestive system, but they all have one main focus, to just take the nutrients from food and excrete the waste. Thanks for listening.